Now then, let's get stuck into the paper review. You arrived, as if by magic, while I was talking to Mick Whelan. Good to see you both.
I was gripped by that.
We're good.
I was gripped by that. I'd like to have asked him how I'm getting home today, because I didn't know there was a strike. I've just got back from France, come here, don't know how I'm getting home, so I'm stuck in London. Any taxis?
Pete Price there, broadcaster. Also, we've got with us writer and broadcaster Matthew Stadlen as well. Good to see both of you to look at the papers. Yeah, I mean, the rail strikes are no doubt included in many of the papers, but let's kick off with what you had originally chosen to talk about, Matthew. And this is in the Daily Mail. Their front page focuses on this as well, and it's a new survey. I think they talk about the route to victory or something today on
the front page's poll shows Rishi a path to victory. Now, if you were trying to find a better definition of spin, I think you'd struggle to do that, because you delve into it and actually you still find Labour 14 points ahead. Yes, the gap seems to be narrowing a little. It's been about 24 points not so long ago. But even this headline, 60% back the Rwanda plan, is, I think, a little bit misleading. The question that is actually asked in this poll is: the Illegal Migration Act prevents anyone who arrives in the UK illegally from applying for asylum. Instead, they'll be detained and then either returned to their home country or a third country deemed safe, such as Rwanda. To what extent, if at all, do you support or oppose this policy? 60% apparently support. So it's not quite as clear-cut as saying Rwanda. But the most interesting things here, I think, about this polling is that the biggest issue, which three issues will most affect how you vote at the next election, is not about immigration. That's down in number 4. That's 26%. Cost of living is 61%. That's enormous. And that's a reminder, as we obsess in the media about the culture wars, that actually what really people care about is whether they can put food on the table, how they're going to juggle paying for their heating, for example, or making sure that they can eat properly. The other interesting thing, and you might find this surprising given this is under the banner headline of Rishi's path to victory, is which of the following party leaders would make the best Prime Minister? 31% Rishi Sunak, 39% Keir Starmer.
Okay, so actually someone comfortable reading there for the Tories, but they may pick out the positive elements, and we may see more of that as we head towards the general election, which feels like it's getting closer, even though
it's miles away.
Yeah, it could be a year away, couldn't it? Yeah. But it feels like the campaigning's starting already, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm sure we'll get lots of those issues discussed around a party conference, which goes on, the Tory one, starts this weekend. In the meantime, though, Pete, take us into the Daily Express, because there's a story about comedy there that you wanted to
comedy is now a PC minefield, says Peter Kay. He's got a new book out called The Big Adventure on the small screen, and he says that Little Britain, he defends the controversial Little Britain and said that it shouldn't have been taken off. The political correctness has gone mad. It was taken off the BBC iPlayer in 2020. I, as a working comic and a late-night broadcaster, couldn't agree with him more. We have to think of every single word that comes out of our mouth, and even doing this now, we have to be so careful. I think it is a total minefield. I thought we used to have the right to reply, the right of free speech, without being offensive, but now, after 50 years of doing a late-night phone-in, I just can't do it anymore. And as a stand-up comic, I can't do it anymore. When I do panto, I can't do it anymore, because you're frightened of opening your mouth and saying the wrong thing. So Peter Kay has just highlighted something that I think is a monster.
Too quick to be offended?
Well, just to come back on that very briefly. First of all, I think it's interesting that Matt Lucas himself, I think, has said in the past that he wouldn't have done some of the sketches that they did in Little Britain nowadays. So he seems to have changed his mind, and he was one of the two main stars, along with David Walliams, of Little Britain. Just from my point of view, I spend my professional life, a lot of it talking on shows like this on Sky News and other channels, and I can honestly say I very, very rarely, if ever, worried about what's coming out of my mouth. So I don't feel that there are some great censor out there trying to clamp down on me, Pete.
Well, I don't agree with you on that in any shape or form. I think it's terrible out there now, and you have to. On my phone-in, they pick on every word, they watch for every word, and you're
still going, though, 50 years on.
Yes, but it's a minefield now to what it was.
Do you think it's partly you can see people's comments because social media means that you've got to go in direct communication with the public?
They go straight for it. If I say something on here, it's guaranteed it'll be on Twitter. They'll have a go at me.
Right,
guaranteed.
yeah.
This is something that GB News, of course, is wrestling with this week. It's been a massive story, the Lawrence Fox story, after he made what I would argue are misogynist comments about a young female journalist. And he's now working out that free speech does come with a cost. You can say what you like, but there are sometimes repercussions. And that's been built into our system since time immemorial.
Yeah,
Just think of the libel laws.
But I had legal training, like you have legal training. I know when not to cross the line. So I know I've had one Ofcom upheld against me in 50 years. That's not bad for a late night phone-in.
So you're arguing against yourself then, because you're saying you do know how to exist in this modern world.
I do, but I have now parameters that I think are wrong.
Okay, let's move on, because otherwise we could go on one subject for too long. There's a story here in the Daily Mail about parking, and this is part of an announcement. I spoke to Mark Harper, the Transport Secretary, about an array of proposals that they're having. They say are pro-motorists. What's this one?
This is about the so-called war on motorists, which, if you believe it is a war, was a war waged by this Conservative government, which has been in power in one shape or other for 13 years. But now there's an end, apparently, to the war on motorists. And one of these policies that seems to have been pledged by the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is that you will be able to use a single parking app at some point in the future across the country.
Rather than different ones in different areas.
That's something actually I agree with. I parked outside the cricket in London earlier this summer, and it seems a long time ago this summer, and I got 2 parking tickets because I came back and parked there again. And the reason I got 2 parking tickets is I put in the code, on the signpost, I put in the code, which is the right code, but it turned out I put it into the wrong app, and therefore I was given and that was, I did get one of those tickets back because I complained and appealed, but that's pretty tough. Let's make sure that we have one app across the country, and then we don't have any of that confusion.
Very quick thought on that. Does that make sense?
It's going to be a monster to put together, isn't it? Because one council won't deal with that, they won't deal with that, they won't deal with that, and it'll go up in a puff of smoke.
We shall see if you're right. Well, as your prediction, we'll check in on you when that actually happens.
Here today on Sky.
Okay. See you both in an hour. We're out of time for now. Matthew and Pete, for the moment, thanks very much.